Hello,
Okay,
Rudy. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. It's a pleasure to have you on. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, my man. I mean, Rudy Reyes mania running wild in the UK, running wild in the USA, doing very well and very blessed.
Very good to hear, and I'm very grateful to have you on the podcast today. I'm sure we're going to have a great chat. There's plenty to cover, but I usually like to do this with all of my guests because I like to hear stories and I like to hear where everything began for everybody in whatever profession. So I'm going to go back with you, Rudy.
Sure, brother.
What were your early years like growing up, and sort of where did you begin on your path to wanting to become a Marine?
Well, I think there's a certain genetic component. Obviously, all of us are a an amalgamation of our mother and father, and then the thousands of generations it took to create that union. So our traits and our predisposition, even maybe some of our tastes, have a lot to do with the people that we come from. Genetically, they say that oftentimes the traits of our grandparents and great and grandparent brothers and sisters show up later down the line. Uh, I've always been interested in being brave. I've always been driven to prove myself in one battle or another, even though as a child and even as an adult, it's frightening and it's daunting. Something about testing myself um, against the greatest fear that you can imagine, which is to be killed and or destroyed on the battlefield. I just thought that was the standard for testing my courage. And in the beginning, watching Rocky Balboa and then First Blood, John Rambo. Also, as a little boy, watching Full Metal Jacket, or excuse me, as a little boy watching The Deer Hunter, and it being outside of my grasp. And I'm 51 years old, brother. So I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and I was switched on enough to have a really good memory and to really be engaged with what was going on around me. And the 70s were a really tough time in my country and in the world. I mean, we were still in the Cold War. I when I was born, we were still fighting in Vietnam. Both my fathers were Marines in Vietnam. My biological father, and then the father who gave me my name. Um, and as a 5, 6, 7 year old, the world was changing, and it was quite a bitter place. It's quite a dark place. And the films that reflected that, like Apocalypse Now and The Deer Hunter, I think were more three dimensionally realistic and hit upon themes in the veteran community and veteran space, and hit upon themes of protracted warfare without a real end state. Um, we've discussed and shown these themes in film and in music, and it seems through the 80s and 90s we forgot them again. Um, so yeah, after then growing up on the streets and witnessing gun violence and being on the streets, the hard hood streets. And I think maybe our audience that knows me from my work with self help and with Force Blue and as DS, um, maybe even as a recon Marine, they I don't think they recognize, or maybe they have never thought deeply about it. But I come from an extreme hood and impoverished background with lots of violence, lots of drugs, um, gang violence, um, and and because of that, it really hardened my heart, um, and also made me want nothing to do with guns. Um, I think as a child, our ability to receive our world and to compartmentalize it where it needs to be, we can only do broad strokes. We don't have the sophistication as a child to understand global economics and understand socioeconomics and cultural movements throughout millennia. We don't have that sophistication yet. I just saw the people that had guns were mostly were criminals and hoods, and the power of it frightened me. The power of killing frightened me. So instead, I focused on sport and martial art. I still needed to do battle, but I could do battle in a fair way, in a way that there is some rules. You're still being tested with your courage, and you still must have more discipline and more skill to win. But no one's going to kill the other, and no one is going to be hit by a drive-by because you win the match, and the other athletes, freaking homeboys, come by through with guns. So I excelled in sport, and I actually didn't think that I would join the military once I became a martial artist, a wrestler, and then a martial artist and a kickboxer. I thought that that would satiate my hunger for service and facing fear on the battlefield. And it did until the Bosnia conflict, and still until Sarajevo. And in the US, President Clinton put out the decree that we're going to go to war there. And then I thought, then this is my time. Not because I am excited to go fight with a gun and kill enemies, but I must do my part if my countrymen are doing their part. And any young, strong man is out there going to serve his country and face fear. They're setting a standard. And I must meet that standard. I joined as an infantryman. I joined as a grunt Marine, which, by the way, is a freaking dangerous man. There's not much that can compete with a Marine Corps infantry platoon or company on the battlefield. They do two things. They break shit and kill people. So I was one of those guys. I was very proud to be a Marine, and I excelled and was the honor graduate and the Iron Man of my early courses. So then I was given the opportunity to try out for recon. That changed my whole life because I went through the next 4 years selection process and schooling and coursework for recon. I did not go to war in Kosovo. However, my karma was to go to war. I must have been born for war so that I would come back and live and then go to war inside, because my worldview is now completely destroyed. And after picking up the pieces, I'm the man in front of you now. That must be why I was born, because I'm helping more people now and empowering more people now than I could have ever imagined.
I think it's a brilliant story you've been on. And if we go back to them early years, of course, like you say, there was an interest in sport and you thought that was what you wanted to go into, but conflict ended up meaning that you went to fight. But what if you talk about the Bosnia incident, what year was that again, and how old were you when you...
That was 97, 98, 99, 97, 98,
yeah.
99.
So
I joined the Marine Corps in 1998. And after joining in 98, and then boot camp, School of Infantry, Honor Man, Iron Man. Then I try out for recon. I go to selection. I go through our selection 3.5 months on top of everything else. And now I am an 0321, a recon Marine. That is my basic, which is very, very high level, all kinds of reconnaissance in and out of airframes, amphibious insertions, amphibious reconnaissance. Then I go to my courses for para and halo, then combat dive, then scout sniper, then our dems. You guys call them dems. We call them bang or demo. We call it demo. We go through our demo courses, then SEER, survival, evasion, resistance, escape, then raid packages. So I had 4 years of training with the same men. Some of them had already been to combat in other places, very stacked platoon. Men that had fought in Desert Storm, men that fought in Somalia, men that fought in Haiti, men that fought in the counter-drug wars in the late 80s. I was a junior man, very, very fired up, very able, and as a force in readiness, we're on a American armada, a flotilla, a quick reaction force in case anything happens. It's called the Amphibious Ready Group. And I was on a little ship called the Dubuque with a flight line for our jump jets, a Harriers, and a rotary wing. And it was a platoon of Recon Marines and a platoon of SEALs on this LPD. And after leaving Australia and going through Timor, peacekeeping missions and helping, then we were on our way to the Persian Gulf when September 11th happened. So I went straight into fight into Pakistan and Afghanistan after the towers were hit. So that was my first war. So it's interesting. I did not go to Sarajevo, Bosnia, the Serbia-Croatian conflict, but God and my story must have been written before I was born. I was going to go, and I remember on our way to Hawaii, I just had this feeling. Getting on that ship from California to Hawaii, I just had this feeling that something was going to happen and that I was there for a purpose. While all the other Marines, the grunts and everybody else on the ship, they're all excited to go have fun in Hawaii. We were doing training, combat dive training in Amphib, and then excited to go on Libo and get drunk and go crazy in Australia. I just had a feeling something was going to happen, and it did. And after that, the global war on terrorism, brother. And, a year and a half after that, by the way, my 20-year anniversary, 20 years ago at this time, I was doing probing missions from Kuwait into Iraq, getting ready to blow open the breach and then lead the 1st Marine Division all the way through Baghdad to Crete, all the way up to the Syrian border. That was 20 years ago. So after coming back from Pakistan, Afghanistan, I went through more courses. I got more fired up. I got more experience, and then prepared for the invasion of Iraq. After fighting in Iraq, and your audience can check out a mini series that was done about my platoon, my team, called Generation Kill. There's books, there's lots of stuff out there about this time. I came back again, even more seasoned, a team leader, and then I took out a team in the heaviest, most dangerous place in the world, and that's Fallujah and Ramadi, and I did that for one more tour, and it was nothing but a freaking bloodbath on both sides. But trust me, we killed a lot more of them than they killed of us.
We'll come to them very soon, but I want to ask about Recon now. Of course, you got the opportunity to try out to be a Recon Marine. How much of a big opportunity was that for you? And could you explain a little bit about what the role entails as well of being a Recon Marine?
Oh, brother, it changed my life. So traditionally, you have to do 4 years in the Marine Corps before you even get a chance to try out. You have to be a squared away infantryman, corporal, sergeant, even staff sergeants. The men that went through my selection with me, Sergeant Kruger was already a scout sniper and a ranger and a paratrooper. And he finally got his chance 8 years into the Marine Corps to go through selection with Recon. So I was, kissed by an angel to go from being a no experience boot infantryman who was on guard duty and working out all the time and doing my duty really well. And then when Recon came through to do what we call an indoc, the indoctrination, it's 12 hours straight of beasting. Running with 100 pounds on your pack, in your pack, obstacle courses over and over, swim qual, treading water with a rifle over your head, with full camis and boots, rescues, underwater breath holds. We do this for 12 hours, and at the end, we do this long, long run. And I was first to go across that freaking finish line as a young nobody Marine. And that gave me the opportunity to go to Amphibious Reconnaissance School, which doesn't even exist anymore. It was the East Coast first recon school ever in the 60s and 70s. And it was the hardest thing I'd ever done in my life. There's nothing to compare with doing combat training and with full kit and gear. What it takes to carry 100 pounds on you at all times and a real weapon. You're always cleaning, and you're always in and out of the ocean. You're always in the mud, and you're doing land navigation, orienteering, map and compass, and everything is graded, and 80% and below is failure. And if you fail two evolutions in this 3.5-month course, then you're recommended to be dropped. So we didn't have time. The Marine Corps didn't have money to recycle anybody. If you broke your leg or you got hurt, goodbye. You go back to the grunts. You don't get to heal up and then continue the course. There's none of that. It is Darwinistic as you can imagine. So if a Marine Corps of 300,000, there's only room for 300 recon Marines.
Being a recon Marine and having that role must mean, of course, that you've picked up on there, it's not something that's very common. So you must have seen some things that other people will never see in their lifetime, if I'm right.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about hanging off the edge of a Huey and coming up through the clouds and looking at the stars. And then when you get to altitude, pushing yourself off that Huey, getting in a tight freaking position to open up your chute, and then puff through the clouds and then look up, and now the clouds are over you and it's in the middle of the night and you're steering, trying to hit the drop zone. Swimming in the cold Pacific Ocean with a 100-pound ruck, you call them Bergens, pushing it underwater. You're in your combat dive rebreather, and it's in the cover of darkness, and you've got to get to this little point of these rocky islands that you can crawl up on the rocks with your 5-man team and then assault climb the cliffs. So in the morning, after you've set up ropes for the infantry, you do a full-on scale attack. And under that water, seeing the bioluminescence of the dolphins that are playing with you while you're underwater in the middle of the night. I've seen things that, I mean, can't imagine some of the places and the spaces I've been. Pakistan, Afghanistan, and it being so remote on our ways to Kandahar while I was doing screening missions and close air support sniper missions, that as the earth was rotating, stars coming up on the horizon looked like fires. The stars were so bright. No, I think because of the extremity and the passion from my experience as a recon Marine and as a warfighter, it has made my subconscious much deeper, and I dream very, very deep. And it's possibly also why I am really emotionally moved by things too, especially now that I've learned to soften my heart again. Yeah, that's the long and the short of it. It's been nothing less than full power quantum explosion of passionate experience and suffering. Also, we've suffered like very few first world people suffer.
Talking about that suffering there, because I was going to say, being in that role must have meant you've been in some of the most intense combat situations. Is there any that the most intense ones that really stick out in your mind now, Rudy? I know you picked up on a few earlier.
It's so interesting in my firefights and our hard hits. So much training and so much practice and so much freaking experience. Those are kind of calm for me because I have to be calm to direct fires and marshal my men. Remember, we work in very small teams. I was ambushed close quarter. I was on how the roads work in Iraq is they're up on a little tiny mesa. Imagine a grid network of roads, and then there's defilade on either side and then a canal. So in those fields is where they do their agriculture or feed their goats. It makes it very difficult to bring your Humvee down that defilade and then across the canal. So the enemy always, in the daytime, if you're on the roads, you're skylined. This is all around Fallujah. And it's an opportune time to be engaged. And I had just got pulled off a 24-hour sniper mission after a 3-day patrol in which I was laying on my stomach with my machine gunner and my assistant team leader. And it got 5 below zero because it was February. I was sweat soaked from over patrolling and running through the freaking city and then laying up in the canals. And I was so freezing cold. when the sun finally came up and I had vegetation all over me and cami paint, I took my support hand for my bolt gun and I put it right on a sunbeam so the sunbeam would touch my fingers. And I just tried to think of that. And it was so harsh, it was so cold. And then I had my team come link up as the sun's coming up. We embarked onto the vehicles, extracted, and now we're heading back to camp. Boom, we get hit across the canal. These men are shot an RPG at me from behind a vehicle, only about 30 feet. So if you can imagine being at your house and looking across the street to the next house is how close they were. Right before it happened, and I'm exhausted, brother. I haven't slept properly in 3 or 4 days now and carrying immense amount of equipment. And in Fallujah, when we're carrying water, and of course, we always bring extra ammunition and explosives and extra batteries. We're carrying between 150 pounds and 200 pounds. And I always carry the most because I know what I'm capable of. So really bone tired, but I guess not really that tired, man. There's another gear that switches on. So as we were heading back to camp, a split second before they shot this RPG. Now remember, our vehicles have no armor except half armored doors. No roofs. We've got gypsy racks to put more weapons and rockets on, and then a gypsy rack in the back for our petrol cans or our gas cans. Or excuse me, diesel. Actually, it's diesel, and so it's all quite wide open up top. We've got half doors that are steel. But our real armor is our situational awareness, how our eyes are always outboard, and I've got a big, heavy gun up top. As we're about to get engaged, I see 2 small figures. It had to be a woman and a child in dark clothing running. And with them running, I know something's up. And just as that happens, I look to the other side. Boom! You hear an explosion. An RPG, if you ever engaged with the RPG, the first explosion you hear is it leaving the tube. It's like boom, and now it's flying, and it flies behind my head and in front of my heavy gunner, right through. Bam! Hits the berm here, explodes. Very quick, very professionally. I just hit my radio. Contact left, herringbone. The rest of my platoon, the other 4 or 5 vehicles, herringboned out this way so everybody can cover. Outboard, and nobody's going to get in each other's fields of fire. As that happened, I'm jumping out of my vehicle, throwing my weapon up on the hood. You can still see the smoke trail. So I follow the smoke trail, and there are these men behind the vehicle. And I might have said, hit it. Or I might have said, there they are. Or I might have just got on that trigger. But myself, my heavy gunners, and my other riflemen all engaged. Wham, 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 close quarter. That vehicle explodes, atomizes those fighters. But the hood of the vehicle flies in the air, floating in the air, smoke. Things exploded. As it's floating up, I see it floating, and then I get right back into target, and I see other men laying down and hiding right there on the berm. And we've got, at least a 10-man element thinking, they were there to freaking kill us and have us dead to rights. They missed. We destroyed this vehicle with these fighters, and now the rest of them are in trance watching the hood of the vehicle fly in the air, and we all just start going to work. That was just like a Tuesday in Fallujah. This is wild. I remember like yesterday, man, it was so heavy. We ended up chopping our way back. The whole village is coming out against us. We're driving at speed, and we had just got knee pads and elbow pads the day before. And I said, listen up, team. Everybody's wearing freaking elbow pads, knee pads, PPE. We're in and out of these vehicles, and we're doing urban warfare. Everybody puts them on. And remember my machine gunner, Avial, was like, I don't want to put these on, so it is. Like everybody puts them on. So we're chopping our way out of this kill zone at speed. We hit a pothole. My heavy gunner McCoy, I look over my shoulder, he's right there. He goes, oh shit. And then I look underneath my arm, and my machine gunner Avial has been bumped out of the vehicle at 50 or 60 miles an hour. And I see him rolling like Sonic the Hedgehog. I say, G, stop. G Money was my assistant team leader. He slams on the brakes. The door's still flung open, and he rolls right back into the door, jumps back in, and boom, we go again. Yeah, I mean, amazing. Amazing.
It must be some stories like that that really do stick in your mind from your time.
Yes, it's there's so many. I mean, man, I mean, I've been in ambushes. I've been on hits and kills. I've rigged a bridge with explosives in the cover of darkness, surreptitiously. I guess I've done quite a bit of stuff, brother. But it was just it's anything and everything that you would do as a recon man to gain the advantage in a 360-degree threatening environment. It was very savage out there, brother. Very, very savage. And so interesting that that's the cradle of civilization and or mathematics. A lot of modern culture is rooted there in that area. I've been on the Euphrates. I've been to Babylon. I've been all through the Middle East. I've been to where Jesus was baptized in Jordan. I've been to Sparta. Yet those places now, aside from Jordan, because there are allies, the UK and American allies, beautiful people, those places are still are completely corrupted. Not to say that we in the first world ain't far behind now. I'm looking outside my window here and I see 2 American flags. I live in the South. I don't know if there's a place in the UK where people are more patriotic. In America, it's in the South and in Texas. We're very patriotic. We still remember where we come from. We still remember the hard men and women that it took to make this country. But other parts of the country, they don't care about what it took to build this place, who built the roads, who suffered to cross the Atlantic Ocean, who suffered, that walked from Central and South America, who came like the Chinese across the Pacific. All of our immigrant background and all the suffering it took to build the greatest nation to ever exist. I believe the US is the greatest nation to ever exist, but we're forgetting it. And to think that I did all that combat and all that warfare, and all my brothers did. We have our 20-year reunion coming up soon, and most of it is for our young people have no idea, nor do they care to, and that's what bothers me.
So yeah, I guess it's kind of like people still do need to remember, which you're basically saying people are forgetting.
I think so. I think so.
Shame.
I was just I'm compelled to listen and to read history. Dan Carlin, Hardcore History. I highly recommend his podcast. He does 8, 10, 15-hour podcasts on the Mongols, on the Germans versus the Soviets, on the Japanese coming from the 1800s into one of the most powerful militaries the world had ever seen by the 40s. He does 10 hours on Julius Caesar. I highly recommend his stuff. I read history, I watch history, and I listen to history, because if we do not understand where we come from, and then we'll never understand who we are now and where we're going.
Because I've always had a big interest in history. I mean, I studied it when I was in school. It was something I did because I thought it was something I had an interest in. And I enjoyed learning about
Me too.
Past things. Yeah, and I mean, even at the minute as well, I think, with all of the Russia stuff that goes on in the news and everything, I think to myself, we're living in this day and age now where we've got Putin, and then when we're all gone in years to come, if history is still a thing, there'll be people who are learning about this current time in the world where we are right now.
Yes. I wonder what they're going to say. Well, I wonder what they're going to say. I mean, It's very interesting right now. Of course, my country has been sending lots of arms and money to Ukraine. But what did they do for Afghanistan? They left them all these men and women that joined the military, and they all got slaughtered. What about those 60,000? Um, I'm not very publicly critical of this administration, but as the days go on, I I can't help but say that cronyism and the American dollar is more important to this administration than doing the right thing for the nation and the world. I don't think lots of people in my government never even serve in the forces, and they have no understanding of sacrifices our families make for us to do this, and that us warrior brothers will harbor some part of suffering, pain, and physical or emotional destruction for the rest of our lives. It's a sacrifice. And the people that are in our government that are elected without understanding what your warrior class will do and what sacrifices that will be felt for generations through their family, I don't believe that said government official will make proper policy for both the short term and the long term. And I don't like the hypocrisy that I'm seeing with Ukraine. I don't like seeing the hypocrisy. I believe we're there strictly for money and selling our weapons, and because there's some business interests there. And I think that's the reason. I think if we were being the good nation that we say that we are, we would be there in Afghanistan. We'd have stayed in Afghanistan. So there's a discrepancy there with character and morals. I have morals and I have character, and I believe, one nation under God. And why I say under God is so important. As you get older, brother, you're going to experience without a sense of your individual subjugation to the Lord Almighty, because there is an order, there is a higher law, then you will forever be mediocre in your life, in your actions, and in your character. Right now, I don't know why more people aren't speaking about spirituality and God, because without that tether, we in the first world, who, by the way, it makes me sick, our homeless people, both in the UK and in America, have freaking smartphones. Our homeless people. And there's no one starving to death that needs to in our countries. And yet we have no connection to God anymore. There's something wrong there.
Of course, I think you will probably notice it more as well with the fact you've been all over the world and
yes, I have.
What you've experienced and witnessed in your life.
Yes, sir. It's interesting. I've been in communist countries, and I've been to every continent but Antarctica. Been to, I don't know, 75 countries, 80 countries. And I've been in all of the bad ones, right? I recommend you read a book called The Gulag Archipelago. And it was about an amazing Soviet soldier that believed in the motherland and was Russian and believed in his people and culture. But when when the Communist Party started crushing people's connection to family and God, and that party is God, and that there is no God, he was a highly decorated soldier. He spoke out against it and was put away into the Gulag in Siberia. And he writes, I recommend you read that. I've been to places where worshiping God is illegal, and I see the people struggle. Some of them in their 20s and 30s, where they're most vital, they seem dull.
I'll certainly have to check that out, and I'm sure there's books everywhere now, so I'm sure it'll be somewhere to pick up. But
yes,
talking more on your
I'm sorry
time.
I get so heavy. I get so heavy, brother, because I feel things emotionally. I get really heavy. I mean, if I turn this around, I mean, look, this is a little bit of my library, and you'll see I've got a Iraqi tanker helmet with night vision. I've got some old pictures from the Marine Corps. Can you see
Oh
some
yeah,
action
just
figures?
yeah, the cabinet and a guitar as well.
Yes. Oh, and then I've got some targets, right? You see those targets?
Yeah, yeah.
That's so we can practice our marksmanship even here in the office, just by pushing your pistol to target and acquiring sights. Why does that sound important? Because if one day you ever need to use a weapon, it's the worst day of your life, and those shots need to be true.
So it's all about being prepared, really.
Yes, Musashi said, "A warrior does not get ready; a warrior is ready."
Yeah, and you're certainly doing that by the looks of your wall. And just in the
Yeah,
corner, I noticed I noticed a little guitar as well. Just
yeah. Oh, Jake plays guitar. Is my missus is a musician too. Like, look, you'll see the guitar, and then you'll see my paddle. Whoa, there goes that microphone. You'll see my body armor. This is just, and I didn't set this up. This is our house. We'll see our weapons cases. We've got some gun belts, medical kit, body armor, guitars, some recon stuff, some family photos. And this is our little office, brother. And
oh wow,
I didn't even think about, yeah, you can see I live it. I live it. Yeah, it's part of me. And the intensity about speaking truth, it's not my truth, it's the truth. I don't like this narcissism that's totally engrossed modern first world culture. Young people really have nothing to say until they've done a lot more studying and have risked more. I am not interested in opinions. Opinions mean nothing. Observations come through experience and wisdom. That means something. And I'm a student still. I'm a student still, my man. I'm going to Winter Strong. We have something called Winter Strong here in the country, where we bring all these human performance people together, and military people and artists like Zach Brown and musicians. And we do primitive skills. We do fire making with a bow drill. We do stone tools to make knives so that we can skin our game. We work on our archery. We lift weights. This is all outdoors. We cook together. We sing songs. And it's a great emotional, spiritual, and primitive reset to our strong roots. And this is what I do in between doing television and movies, which can take you so far away from reality. You see what I mean? I need to be real, and I need to tell the truth.
It's sort of like an escapism, like when you're doing your other things. So it's sort of like to keep real.
It's to stay grounded and to keep real. And the good news is when I do SAS or Special Forces, we're in the field working and suffering. Me and the boys love it for that reason. It's so legit and real because there's no retakes. We run the course. We get hurt and injured. We suffer. Sometimes, when Foxy broke his leg, now there's only 3 DS. We were only sleeping 4 hours a night while pushing ourselves to the edge for 12 days. It's immense. It's immense, yet we live for it. And now Foxy's come back stronger than ever. This last one in Vietnam with Billy as chief instructor, who, by the way, I idolize Billy. I introduced him in the American version as Billy Billingham. You listen to my American accent. Billy Billingham. He's a badass. He's been there, done that, and got the fucking t-shirt. So I've got Billy leading the charge. I got the Hammer, Chris Oliver, fucking SBS. I got fucking Foxy, both Royal Marine Commandos, SBS. Foxy, fucking legend. And I'm going so hard. I'm whooping it on. I'm giving everything I got, bringing both barrels. Boom, boom. 4 days to the end of the second series because we've been in flooding and I've been running so hard and I'd gone through my boots, 2 pairs of boots, and I never got them dry. I got immersion foot. My feet hurt and swelled so bad, I did not know if I could continue. And those 3 men picked up the slack, said, Rudy, brother, take tonight off. Keep those feet elevated. Take tonight off. And I prayed to God and I prayed to Jesus. I got down on my knees. I prayed, please, I need to finish this mission. They took over for me by a miracle in the morning. The swelling and the pain went away and we completed it. These things are the best things that could ever happen to older warriors like us, to know that we still got it, to know that we still got the band of brotherhood, and that we can still push ourselves to the extreme, and that who we were as warriors will forever be with us. It's not just what we were in the past. A piece of that in the right way will inform us as men and make us the best men as we go forward.
So it sounds like you've got a lot of history with them then. Because I was going to ask, where does the history come in with Billy, Foxy, and Chris?
Oh my gosh, brother! First of all, my man, and with your UK audience out there, especially your older audience, they're going to know. Okay, when I was a young recon Marine, or when I was even going through selection, I didn't know anything, and I wanted to know what it's like being in special operations, how to prepare myself. So on the weekends, while the other Marines would go drink beer, I would go to the Barnes & Noble, the bookstore, and I would read books. And I read Bravo 20. I read Immediate Action, Annie McNabb. Then I got turned on to the one and only Chris Ryan, the one that got away. Do you know Chris Ryan? You know, he walked and ran his boots off after Bravo 20 fell apart. He chopped his way, and fought with this firearm till he was out of ammunition, then had to freaking fight and kill with knives and keep fucking running for 300 miles till he got to Syria. That's Chris Ryan from Bravo 20. The name of his book is The One That Got Away. I was reading these books and then reading First Recon, Second to None, the Vietnam Diaries, reading Black Hawk Down. But I'd been studying the SAS and SBS since the late 90s. And I mean, I hold them in such a high pedestal, and they're my brothers. And I fought with these brothers and learned from these brothers and fought with them in Iraq as well. The Royal Marine Commando specifically, magnificent respect. First of all, they're all in shape. You know what? When you're a man and a freaking warrior, and you're always trying to work on being a better version of yourself, faster, stronger, tougher, more disciplined, and then you see your boys across the ocean, your freaking Royal Marine Commandos, all studs and strong and disciplined and just like you can't help but respect them. And when I got the call when Ant Middleton was fired, I didn't even know Ant Middleton was fired. I thought they were just bringing me on as an extra new DS. I was so honored. I was so blown away. And that's when it started. When I met Billy the first time to do the recce for Jordan, this is 2 years ago, we just hit it off so tight. And then Foxy and I, because we're both really into physical training, we hit it off so tight too on our recce's and everything. And we all count on each other. I can't say enough positive things about those men. I respect them all and honor them all. And I definitely take it very personal that I'm representing the United States Marine Corps and Recon and America over there in the SAS Who Dares Wins show, culture, and community, because those brothers have created is nothing short of a cultural and iconic shift change of how we look at people with struggles mentally, physically, spiritually. That show, although it seems so freaking difficult on the top of it, underneath it, it's about saving lives and empowering people. It's affected so many people, not just the recruits, but all the people that are connected to those recruits as well. And that I am on this show, I take it very seriously, and that's why I give it my best.
When you did join the show, Ant Middleton had a lot to say. What did you think about all of that?
You know what? I was a huge Ant Middleton fan. Remember, I didn't know that I was replacing him. And, you know, at first I got fired up. How we are in America and as a Recon Marine and the Marine Corps. And again, I live in the South. I don't live in LA. I don't live in New York. I don't live in a place where men talk trash. Matter of fact, most people here have a pistol on them. regular citizens. An armed society is a polite society. I'm not used to anybody talking any trash to me because I'm a fighter, and somebody sees me up close and personal, and they can tell that I'm formidable and dangerous. Only somebody who's stupid or drunk starts trouble, and they have, and they get put unconscious. They go to the hospital. So at first, with Ant talking all this mess, by the way, he got fired because of him, not because of me. First, I wanted to, kick the fuck out of him. I'd love to give him, I'm a real fighter. That guy's not fighting. He's not even in shape. I want to kick the fuck out of him. And then I thought, over time, Jade saw me get upset, and then Foxy even came out on media and said, you guys are out of order. This dude's solid as fuck. You know what I mean? This guy, Rudy Reyes, I can count on. Billy said, mate, why don't you see if Ant and you can fight, do an MMA tournament for charity? I'd be like, fuck yeah. And that dude would, he's backed himself into a corner. He's pretended to be such a badass for so long. And I guess maybe, you can shine on some of the public that's never been in the military, but he's pretended to be something he's not for so long. He doesn't know what else to do. He was not a highly respected operator at all. And you can ask around the communities. He was not a team leader. He was not highly respected at all. He was the same kind of asshole that you see online as he was in the forces. But maybe entertainment business loves that kind of asshole, and he is handsome. So he got this job, and he did well until he fucked it up. Nobody else fucked it up but him. I think he's just projecting his anger at himself on me. I'd love to see him and say, hey, brother, I'm sorry all this shook out the way it did for you. I hope you don't have any hard feelings, and I wish the very best for you. He's a veteran too, and he served his country too. So I am reminded to show him that same respect.
I think it's a shame because it's a shame that you couldn't have that mutual respect for each other, and it's a shame that he kind of couldn't have wished you the best.
No kidding, because I wish him the best. You know what? I'll go on record right now and just let everybody know I wish him the best. He's got a family. I know what it's like being off the rails. I was off the rails. I struggled with, I used to freaking have a serious freaking drug problem, serious alcohol problem, serious violence problem, serious not giving a fuck problem. I went through that, and I had Zen Buddhism in my life. I had discipline in my life. If that can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. I know what it's like, and I know what it's like to want to pop off and fight everything. Because actually the world makes no sense to you. I understand that. I just want to wish him the very best of whatever he's doing now. And I hope that he gets to have a great time with his children, his wife. Those are the things that matter now.
Yeah.
Not talking shit on the internet. That's why I don't even do Twitter. I don't have a YouTube. Man, there's plenty of people talking. I'm freaking doing. You know what I'm saying?
I think there's plenty of people out there these days that just make a little bit of a living off social media comments and Twitter followings.
Yeah, it's so wild. I had no idea it would be. I had no idea that the anonymity of one of these and a handle or screen name that you can write and put up whatever you want would create such boisterous cowards. There is no accountability for what people say. Also, what people say can be very, very hurtful. Definitely. What about hurting people you don't even know? Why would anyone want to hurt someone they do not even know? You don't even know what they're going through, There's
examples in our country as well. Like, I know you'll probably have heard of the show Love Island.
Yeah.
And people have said nasty comments to bring other people down, and then it's tragically resulted in somebody taking their own life, which is a massive
Yeah.
shame after somebody's just appeared on a TV show wanting to do something, and then people's nasty and hurtful comments have brought them down.
I hear you, brother. I can't help but feel for people. The reason I fought for my country is because I felt for my country and I felt for those people in warfare. I thought I could help them. I can't help but feel for people, and I don't like seeing people embarrassed, humiliated, or ashamed. I don't like it. We have only a certain amount of days on this planet, brother, to get our souls right and to prepare for the afterlife. And if you're not working at making yourself better, you're degrading. The world conspires to tear you down. Society has lost its way. We should be spending our time, especially those with some influence and a bandwidth that touches a lot of people. We should spend our time helping people by reminding them to embrace their personal power, utilize more discipline, get into shape. This is not surface. This is not narcissism. This is not vanity. This is not egotism. I'm telling you, life is going to kick your fucking ass. If you are strong and have the discipline enough first to respect this vessel that you receive and interact with life and your loved ones and your work, if you manicure and respect this thing when you're 51 years old like me, you can still be just starting a new career and kicking ass. So these things need to be done so that if you respect yourself about how hard you work to maintain discipline and honor, you're going to start looking for that in other people too. You're going to want to empower other people to do that same thing.
Talking of new adventures, of course, like we just picked up on a few moments back, SAS Who Dares Wins. I am a massive fan of the show.
I love the show too, brother. I love the show.
Me and my mum, my dad, we all like it. And my mum, Nadine, she's a big fan of yours. So if you could give her a hello.
Awesome, Nadine. Nadine, thank you. You've raised a fine young man, Nadine. Hope to see you on next season. You're gonna love it.
Yeah, I'll tell her to get applying for the show next series.
Yeah. You know what I love about the UK version? The USA version is not as tough yet. The UK version, brother, there is no holds barred. Holy smokes, I'm very impressed with your average everyday citizen that wants to go out there and give it their all. So proud. Also, your celebrities. I didn't really know any of them because I'm from America. I remember Callum Best when he used to go out with Lindsay Lohan. I was so blown away at how spirited and how tough these celebrities were, that they chose to be on SAS because they knew that it was the medicine they needed, not for their career, but for their soul. Very impressed. That Fern McCann, very impressed. You know, she cried and failed a lot of tasks, but she shook it off and got back up. And that the professional dancer, very tough.
Yeah.
Very tough. And then that tiny little actress from what's the soap opera? Maisie?
Oh, Maisie Smith, EastEnders, yeah.
Brother, she's little. When she went over for the backwards dive and over-rotated and landed on her face and body, you didn't see it, but her legs, completely black and blue, her chest and face, black and blue. Never complained, kept driving on. Very impressed with these human beings. I respect every human being that goes on these selection, whether it's SAS or Special Forces. They did not have the benefit of being indoctrinated. They did not have that emotional and spiritual connection to sign on a dotted line and give their life up for their country. They are coming in as people. And for them to go through what they go through, I can't do anything but love and respect. I can't do anything but love and respect.
Because some of the stories you hear on the show are incredibly touching when you...
Oh, boy.
I mean, there was one the other night. I know it was recruit number 5. You weren't in the interrogation room, but I know it was Billy and Foxy.
I was on the other side. I was on the other side with the ears.
So also,
holy smokes!
Do you hear when? Because I was wondering that. Yeah. Do you hear when when you're not in the room, can you still hear what's going on through the other?
We have headphones out and about to put them on so we understand what they're going through. And compelling, powerful. Number 11 with the sexual abuse and the abandonment. Love that 11. I really love them. Pete Wakefield, everything he's been through, the big giant, and then he destroyed his knee. I thought he would have taken it all the way. And then number 5, the mom who lost her daughter to cancer. Oh, brother. That's what inspires me when I'm there on task and haven't slept in days and are cramping every night and there's rats fucking running on top of us and shitting all over us. That's why I still get up at freaking 05 in the morning to do it over again. It's for those people.
They've been through so much, and if you can help them and push them on to pass that course, I imagine it makes you feel amazing. And I was going to ask, what do you look for in a contest in a recruit, Rudy? Because I know it's about, you could literally be the fittest person out there, but not necessarily have the mental element to pass the course. Or do you think it's more of a mind over matter situation?
It's a little bit of all of that. What I'm asking the audience to take stock in when they listen to your podcast, brother, is that all your audience must get into shape or stay into shape for life, because life is going to come at you hard, and age will eventually find you. And life goes up and down. Take it from somebody who's been on the planet, a little over half a century. Life goes up and down. But what we're looking for in a recruit, first and foremost, is not the body. The body helps because after days go by, the fatigue drains. And the more disciplined you are with your fitness and martial art, the longer that takes to be attrited. What we're looking for, number 1, attitude.
Yeah, attitude.
Good attitude. A good attitude can overcome almost anything.
It's about putting your mind in the situation and having a good attitude and
it's true.
Treating it with respect. Yeah.
Think about when you were little and you were going to school and you were learning first to write or cursive or first mathematics. It was so brand new and you were so excited, whether you were reading or writing or mathematics, whatever it was for you. Do you remember how fun it was learning to do the numbers and then understanding what they mean? That's because when you're a young person, a child, you've got an open mind and a great attitude. You take an adult with an attitude like that, even if they're not the most physically fit, they're going to do well in the course.
And that's what it's about. It's having a good attitude, because that's what it's going to get people over the line in the end. And we're yet to see who's going to make it that far in the current series. But I want to ask you about the current series in the Vietnamese jungle. Of course, the last series was in the desert, not far from Jordan, last year. And this year, it's, of course, got the different setting. But I remember you saying it's the most brutal yet. And I mean, I remember turning to my dad after the first episode saying, wow, this is brutal. After episode 1, you could just tell it's the most intense and the most tough course yet than any of the other series, in my opinion.
It is primordial jungle, like stepping into freaking Jurassic Park, like being on King Kong Island. The rock is all volcanic, rips your body to shreds. The plants sting you. Scorpions, vipers, tarantulas. Some of their bites can kill you. Some of the plants, juice inside of some of the plants are used to make deadly poison. One of the snakes there, called the two-step viper, it's called the two-step because Americans, when fighting in Vietnam, that were bit by this viper, one was witnessed to walk 2 steps and then die. It is no freaking joke, brother. There's so many insects, there's so many rats, there's so many everything. And then the flooding, and then the constant rain, and then the tissue. Your body's tissue starts breaking down when it's always wet. It's no freaking joke. I've been really conditioned like the other brothers, and it still takes a toll. My first week there rehearsing, we did some hard rehearsals, and I remember getting to my barracks, my accommodations, and just laying down on that You call them camp beds, we call them racks. And brother, I felt my head pounding, boom, 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 and all my strength was leaving me. And then I threw up. So I had a little bit of a heat casualty just because we were pushing so hard, because I hadn't been acclimated quite yet. It is very, very difficult and arduous conditions, and the jungle itself is the first enemy. And then you have to go through the taskers with the DS, and then ultimately fighting force on force. You're doing martial art, milling, and doing a hostage or a hostage rescue / freaking terrorist takedown mission. So first you have to fight the jungle, then you have to fight your body, and then you have to fight whatever we're putting out with the course. It's so intense, it's so heavy, and that's why we have so many casualties. You can see they're dropping like flies. Matter of fact, the producers are like, Rudy Reyes, if we don't slow this damn thing down, we're not going to have a show. Everybody's going to be gone. And then Billy, of course, mate, it's all going to work out just fine in the end. He's always, don't worry, brother. Don't worry. It's all going to work out.
And because I remember seeing the other night, there wasn't many recruits left, and I was thinking, wow, a lot of them have gone already.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, brother. I think you will be very impressed with who's left. I respect all of them that make it to the end, and not all are chosen. Just because you get through tasks doesn't mean you're the right type of person we want to be on our team. But I respect them all. And, some of them, one of my favorites, well, let me just say one of my favorite recruits who I just love his attitude, big, strong unit, super great attitude, kicking ass on tasks. Besides Pete Wakefield, another one was going to take it all the way, and the injury took him out. So yeah, brother, you just never know. You're putting yourself on the line in a world of extremity to prove something first and foremost to yourself. It's got to be tough. It's got to be painful. It's got to be filled with sacrifice and foreboding. It's got to be something harder and a destination further than you've ever imagined. Because if you make it, the sense of self and the self-respect and dignity, and maybe the respect you have for others, it grows in a quantum way,
I think it's an incredible show, and I can't wait to see the rest of the series, see who does make it to the end. But if I want to ask you, Rudy, to finish off, yes, one word to describe the rest of the series, what are you saying?
One word for the rest of the series. And remember, we got another one coming after this too. It's a phrase. Disillusionment with self precedes enlightenment. These recruits will be stripped down of everything they thought they were to discover their true self. And it's nothing short of glorious.
Looking forward to seeing it. And of course, like you said, there'll be another one later on in the year with the celebrity series. But Rudy, thank you so much for coming on to chat today. It's been an absolute pleasure. Your story's been fantastic, and you've been a top guest.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. Put it out there, and I'll pass it around on my channels too. Thank you. And thank you, UK audience. I love you all for supporting me. And in the beginning, I know you guys didn't know how to take me, but now I get so much love from my freaking UK brothers and sisters. I could not be happier. So thank you all.